Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack source material, get past the surface, and really find those core insights.
That's right. And today we're looking at a specific technical challenge someone shared with us. It's about getting Python tools Nox and UV to work together smoothly.
Yeah, and specifically a warning message that popped up and caused some confusion.
So our mission here is pretty clear. Understand that problem, look at how the fix was actually found, which is kind of surprising, and think about what it means for how you might tackle debugging.
Okay, let's get into this specific tech puzzle then. So, the basic idea, the goal, it's something lots of Python devs want to do. Use Nox, the tool for running tasks like tests or linting in isolated environments across different Python versions.
Right, super useful. And they wanted to use it with UV, the new really fast package manager.
The key was getting UV to just use the virtual environment that Nox already created for a task, not make its own.
Exactly. Seems straightforward. The setup involved a Nox session, specifically for Python 3.03, running a lint job.
The expectation. Nox spins up its environment, maybe in like doc sense, and then UV, when it runs inside that session, just uses that environment. Simple.
But that wasn't quite how it played out. When they actually ran the lint job in Nox,
They got hit with a warning, a specific one.
yeah, the message was, warning, virtual NV, Nox lint does not match the project environment path.covnv and will be ignored.
Okay, so break that down. What's it actually saying?
Well, it's kind of confusing, but basically, even though the standard virtual NV variable was correctly pointing to the .noxlint directory.
So Nox did its job setting that up.
Right. But UV was looking at something else it calls the project environment path, which it thought was .venv. So it decided to ignore the virtual NV setting and defaulted back to using or maybe creating a .vn.
Which completely bypasses the whole point of Nox managing that specific Noxlin environment for the task.
Exactly. It defeats the purpose of using Nox for that isolation.
Okay, now the debugging part. This is where it gets interesting, right?
Yeah, because our listener, they spend a fair bit of time on this. And their first instinct, like many of us now, was to ask an LLM.
They fed it the problem description, the warning message, asked how to fix the Nox and UV integration.
And the feedback was the LLMs just couldn't nail it down. They gave answers that sounded, plausible, things that might work sometimes.
But not the actual solution for this specific Nox UV warning. They kept trying different prompts, apparently.
Yeah, hitting a wall of what felt like maybe confident but incorrect suggestions.
And the real surprise, the actual solution didn't come from the AI.
Nope. It came from going back to basics. A standard search engine.
Just typing in specific keywords like Nox UV environment warning.
Pretty much exactly that, and it led them straight to the answer pretty quickly.
So why didn't the LLM find it? What was different?
Well, the key thing seems to be that the correct fix was already documented. It was right there in the official Nox documentation in their cookbook section.
Ah, so a known issue with a known solution.
Exactly. And for some reason, the LLMs seem to be like generating answers or synthesizing information rather than directly retrieving that specific documented fix from the source.
Almost like they were hallucinating alternatives instead of pointing to the manual.
That's how it felt to the listener, yeah, which is interesting.
Okay, so spill the beans. What was the fix from the Nox cookbook?
It required being really explicit with UV when running it inside Nox. Two main parts.
Okay.
First, you have to set a specific environment variable for UV called UV project environment. You set that to the path Nox creates, like .noxlint.
So you're basically telling UV, hey, the project environment isn't .venv right now, it's this one.
Precisely. But just setting it generally wasn't quite enough inside the Nox run command.
What else?
The second part was updating the actual session .runinstall call in the Nox file .py. You needed to add python session.virtualenv.location.
Okay, pointing it to the Python executable within the Nox environment. Makes sense.
And crucially, you also had to pass that UV project environment variable within the env dictionary for that specific session, run install command.
Ah, so setting the environment variable just for that command's context.
Exactly. That combination, the flag pointing to the Python path and setting UV's specific environment variable within the command's environment that forced UV to correctly use the Nox managed virtual environment.
Got it. Problem solved. Warning gone.
So, stepping back from this one specific case, what does this whole experience suggest for you when you're debugging?
Yeah, it definitely raises a question. When you have these very specific, maybe slightly niche technical integration issues.
Especially ones where good documentation likely exists, like in official guides or FAQs or, a cookbook.
Is digging directly into that documentation via a targeted keyword search still perhaps more reliable for finding the precise fix than asking an LLM?
It seems like for certain types of problems, maybe. LLMs are amazing for generating ideas, explaining concepts, even writing code.
But maybe less effective at retrieving that one very specific configuration detail hidden on page 47 of a manual.
Right. Direct search might just get you to that specific paragraph faster sometimes. It's a different kind of task.
So we've dived deep into this Knox and UV integration snag. We've seen the exact fix from the docs.
And we've touched on this really interesting point about choosing your debugging tools, LLMs, versus focused search.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the most direct path, especially for configuration issues, leads straight to the official documentation.
Yeah, the source of truth, written by the people who made the tool, it often has the answer.
So here's something to maybe mull over. Think about your own work, your own learning. Are there times when you reach for a more general AI tool first? Or maybe stepping back and doing a really targeted search in specific docs or known expert forums might actually save you time and maybe some frustration?
Especially when you suspect it's a configuration thing someone else has likely already solved and documented. Something to consider for your next tricky problem.